What is it?
Hang on.
Here we go. All right, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Can we get a roll call, please?
Michael Cashman.
Present.
Thomas Wood.
Here.
Meg LaFay.
Here.
Barbara Hebert.
Here.
Charles Costick.
Here.
James Coffey.
Here.
And I am present.
Again, just for the audience at home, we continue to social distance, meet standards under COVID-19 standards given to us in support through the Association of Towns, the local health department, and in fact, it should be noted that right now the county has 17 active cases. So we continue to encourage people to mask up, to social distance, and use additional health and safety protocols. But we have made accommodations for public participation. Seeing nothing for public comment this evening, though, I will move forward. I do want to touch upon one particular item under my report, and that is Governor Cuomo signed a piece of legislation on Labor Day this year as it relates to public employer emergency planning requirements. It is not just for COVID-19, though that is certainly one of the main motivators or inspirations for that particular thing. There is a number of things that need to be achieved in the coming weeks and months. I participated in a seminar, webinar through the Association of Towns, and I will be putting out some material about what is required. But in short, it is a policy that itemizes the essential employees list, positions, protocols, potentially staggering work, procurement, storage, and distribution for PPE, cleaning, disinfection, access logs. There is even potentially the need for provision to secure housing for employees if they become infected of some sort. It also needs to be shared with the union for a period of comment as well. It then will need to be integrated into the employee handbook, etc. I mean, there's a significant amount of work that needs to go into this. The webinar that I
set up protocols for that?
say that again.
Haven't we already set up protocols for that?
There are some. This is much more detailed, Tom, as far as how it needs to be cataloged and captured. So yes, I mean we benefit by having a starting point. But there are some things that we'll need to kind of get our arms wrapped around. There were approximately 300 towns on the seminar, so people around the state are paying a lot of attention to this. I know the Association of Towns and the Association of Counties has some concerns with some of the provisions of the law as it stands currently, that it may change in the future, but nonetheless we do have a responsibility to pull this together. And let me see if I have it here. I apologize, there was a lot here. It needs to be given, if they got the date right, to the unions around February 4th. So, because then there's a period, yes, with adoption in early April at the latest, I believe it was. So this will be taking up a significant amount of my time. It will have impacts on finance, only from the standpoint of, if we need to secure PPE and things like that. So when Patrick and I looked at the tentative budget, we already kind of cataloged in the back of our head how we might need to secure some additional things that we don't traditionally have in a town budget. Just want to make you aware that there is not a boilerplate model for this, for us to go to per se.
That was
Okay?
my question. Do you anticipate, because of language, creating language, or having not had our HR consultant will be involved with this?
I've already spoke with Ronnie, and she, I wouldn't say wasn't aware of it, but she has not gotten her fingers around this at the level that, you know, we could just kind of say, Ronnie, could you do this? It really is municipality to municipality, because a small town versus a large town is gonna have different impacts. And to be clear, it's all municipalities. So it's all towns, it's all villages, it's cities, it's county governments, and in fact, the fire departments have a responsibility to do some of these things too. So it's wide-ranging. The reason I'm bringing it up tonight is, as I get some more information, we may need to lean on some additional resources, and we may need to pay somebody to help with that, because we need to make sure that this language is appropriate, and that we get it tied in with, you know, even our employee handbook. We may need to talk to Ronnie to make sure that things are syncing up appropriately. Just wanted to be very transparent and very upfront with it, okay?
So there's gonna be additional costs automatically for every municipality.
Yes.
And there's unfunded mandate, because he's cutting the funding for municipalities.
There are, Tom, and in fact, we, you know, given the pandemic already, we're required to provide, you know, additional PPE to all, you know, town employees, which, you know, is our moral and, you know, ethical responsibility. So I don't want to get lost in the weeds on the unfunded part of it. I get that there's certain unfunded pieces of this. I believe that we've done a really good job to date, you know, knock on wood, putting together good active plans, but we'll have to sync that up in a more, you know, specific form. So just giving you a heads up, I'm gonna lean on some different people too in specific category areas, as we pull this together and, you know, hopefully get some draft material, all right? Any questions? Okay.
Is that something that you've sent out to us?
I haven't, no. I'm just making you, I don't have a policy yet. I'm just saying that this is gonna be something I'm gonna be spending a lot of time with, and just kind of doing some research and kind of trying to get my arms wrapped around it. I've already had a conversation with Mike Zerlo, our county administrator. He was the one that informed me that the county association has already kind of identified some areas that they would like to see some changes in the future. Like, you know, many laws, you know, things are on the books and you kind of go, oh, I wish that, one of the examples, as I said before, is there's a provision that needs some clarity, and I will admit what I don't know, emergency housing. You know, if somebody, for example, is sick and they can't go home because, you know, they have somebody with a compromised immune system, you know, do you have a contract with somebody? I mean, there's some stuff that we need to ferret out. Some of the state agencies took an approach during the early portions of it where they were sequestering employees to basically work, to go to the hotel and then work. I think NIPA was an example of it, because they were such essential employees that they had to ensure that those people did not get sick, or they did whatever they could to limit that. So there's just things that we're going to have to look at.
Well, do you need an outline for us to present it to, or whatever, you might get an outline.
As things come out, I will certainly share it. So I just didn't want you to, you know, in a couple of weeks, if I get some material and we're kind of pulling stuff together, I didn't want you to be like, where's this coming from? This is where we're at. Okay. This is a work session. There are draft minutes, monthly reports, the setting of a public hearing for certain elected officials, the preliminary budget, setting the public hearing for the consolidated districts. There is also the junkyard license for 55 Hammond Lane, and then there's the request for refund of these 3% construction deposit for town fair tire recycling. I did want to go, Barb or Tom, is there anything that anyone wanted to touch upon as it related to the junkyard license?
I did send some support information
Okay.
to all of you, and I apologize, I didn't have time until right before the meeting, but there is some support information, and I apologize to you, Jen, and forward that to you too. So I'd like you to look at that, please, in advance of the fact that we have this resolution, the draft resolution. And reach out to Tom if you have any questions.
Thanks, Barb.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Does that include the properties, et cetera?
Yes,
And
there's some,
ownership?
there's a notification letter that's dated back in 2019, there's a pictometry in there. There are some support documents that I think we need to make sure that this is in good shape.
Okay, great, thank
Do
you.
you have conversation about that? No.
Is there anything for committee reports this evening?
Rec, we haven't discussed that one application yet that came over, but we may have an additional resolution next week for the Recreation Advisory Committee.
Okay.
Mainly because the committee was looking for an additional high school student,
Oh,
and Mel was able to get some of the withdrawn applications, so we just have to take a look at that and how we will have a resolution for next week.
great.
And that person.
Well, Tom, I met with Brian Dowling, so we may have in that, our pool of volunteer equipment applications, someone who has expressed interest in the Board of Assessment Review. As you may know or may not know, as we created that template, that's where you can identify the expiration of some appointments, and we did have an expiration as of the end of September. So it won't be, it's done and not, won't be reappointed. They're done, they don't want to continue on this
Okay,
member. So,
great.
So as always, if anybody, if there's any people that they, think, should apply or send in an application, would really be good to get those in as soon as possible, because we should make a decision, this year.
All right. I know of no need to go into an executive session this evening, so we will adjourn tonight's meeting at 6:12 p.m. Drive safe, everybody. Thank you very much. Be safe, be well.
Let me get my mask on, please, don't fall down.
I don't know if it's-
I don't want you to kill me, I don't want